Okay, here we are once again now, this time with a review of the 1/18th scale Greenlight 1970 Dodge Challenger RT from the classic 1971 movie Vanishing Point. Given that this is the 50th anniversary, it's more suited now, I guess, than ever to review this particular model. I got it not too long ago, and I've always thought this is probably one of the best looking muscle cars to come out of that era, the golden era of muscle cars in the States, the Mopar era, the pony cars, and so forth. For me, I think the 1970 Dodge Challenger is one of the best looking muscle cars ever, and that's just all out. Like, I can't find any faults with it. There's nothing about this car I don't like. So here we are with the box. Again, as it's displayed as usual with Greenlight, you got your clear plastic on the outside the window so you can see what's going on. Not too bad. This time, in addition, it's actually got windows in the front and the back of, or the sides if you want to put it. So you can see the front of the car and the rear of the car. And it's always good to have this, especially if you're in person buying it, because, again, with Greenlight, it's one of those things where if you order online, you take your chances, and I took mine, and there are one or two blemishes which I'll discuss, but other than that, like, if you can get it in person, I recommend it. So, let's review the car and see how close it is to the movie.
It's the maximum trip at maximum speed.
So here it is again, as I mentioned with the box. On the front, you got the logo, the font and the text for Vanishing Point, as seen on the poster. Coming to the side, exact same thing. Also got an image of the Challenger itself from the movie poster, sorry, I must say. So yeah, just typical Greenlight there. Now, unlike the previous car that I reviewed, it doesn't have any specs, but it does have a monologue piece here from the character of Super Soul, played by Cleavon Little. And yeah, it's just one of those bits that it does stand out. It's very memorable, just his character and just his monologue about the film and the character.
Last beautiful free soul on this planet.
Again, as I mentioned, nice little art piece at the back from the original poster of the Challenger. The side, pretty much the same. You get a good little view of the rear. So you can see that it's got the number plates and the decals here and there. Underneath, not much really to talk about. It's just got the licensing, Goodyear, 20th Century Fox, and Dodge. Now, let's just take this out of the box and have a closer look at it. Just like the previous one, this one comes in that clear plastic to hold it in place. It's fairly easy, it stays on very well, it doesn't do any damages, so it's very well protected. If you want to keep it that way, that's fine. Outside of the plastic, looking at the car, it rolls very well, very nice and easy. You know, it's good because it's got that bit of weight to it. Die-cast metal all round, so that's always a good bonus there. So there's no plastic roof or anything like that, it's just die-cast all around, so it's always good and sturdy. Now, this one here, unlike the other cars there, like some of the other cars, you got access to everything. So that's always good. Suspension all over, that's another bonus. Unlike the GT500, this one's got suspension. Access to the engine, always good to have that. Always good when they put that little bit of extra detail in the engine, so you see what you got. You can always display it open with the 440 Magnum. As I mentioned before, like, you got access inside. Seats are pretty good this time. They're a different kind of plastic. They're not cold like plastic. They got that nice little feel to it that feels almost vinyl. That's good. You got your aerial antenna. In this instance, yeah, it's a bit odd because it's metal, but it just feels like they got like a sewing needle or something like that, a sewing pin, and just stuck it in. Just feels a bit weird, but you know, not much to complain there. Doors, as I mentioned, open. The boot opens, or the trunk as you want to call it in the States. Can't go wrong with it at all. Now, in the rear, you got your rally tyre spare and jack, something that plays in later on in the film when Kowalski's lost in the desert, so that's a good inclusion. As I mentioned before, metal all over, so you got no fear about plastic, or any kind of like fear of plastic breaking, but there are bits of plastics here and there you got to be careful for, especially the side mirrors. The side mirrors are one of those things, if you don't handle it correctly, it can just snap off real easy. Some loose hinges in this one, not too fond of that in particular. But again, it's not a big issue, but one of the bigger issues, like the wheels are a bit loose, and that's something I was a bit, compared to the other ones, just feels a bit loose in some places, let's just put it that. Now on the turntable, 360 display, it looks very nice, very beautiful car to display, like just everything about it from every angle. Like for me, okay, it's something I've always loved because I just love this car in particular, just wonderful to look at all. Very well detailed. You got some little bits of details here with the lights and the rims. is one of those cars that just presents itself very well from any angle which you put it. You got some decals for the text, for the Dodge, for the 440 Magnum here and there. They're a bit obvious, so that's, it shows up a bit. Here there's something a bit different where, unlike the original movie, the 71 movie, you've got a flip gas cap, unlike the film where it was a twist-in gas cap, so that's a bit of a difference from the movie there. Also, unlike the movie, you have two side mirrors. Two bullet-style mirrors there, sports mirrors, where in the film it was only the driver's side that was a flat one. It was just more traditional, so that's a bit different there. As I mentioned before, you got the rally rim at the back, the rally tire at the back with the Goodyear radials, so that's pretty good. You got your wood-grain steering wheel, good addition there, and you got your pistol grip shifter. So a lot of details gone into this car, got a nice little bit extra here and there. There are very minor details that are different from the movie, but I wouldn't worry too much about that because the movie, there was no real modification to it, so it was more or less a stock standard 1970 Dodge Challenger, so you can't really go too wrong with that. So it just displays very well. You got the Colorado license plate from the movie in the front and back, and that's good. Now underneath, there's no fault there again, nicely detailed, got its licensing, got all the things you need to know underneath, got a nice view of the 440, the gearbox underneath and the exhaust, so the dual exhaust. But like I mentioned, just one or two bits you got to be careful with because it is a bit loose and it doesn't feel flimsy, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm surprised it's just got some of that looseness to it. Despite being such a solidly built car, it's just amazing that. Which is quite ironic because this car in the film took a hell of a beating and it actually showed to be more durable than it would have been in real life. But again, in this movie, they said they went through about 5 cars just repairing it. You got the iconic Challenger RT badge on the grille, the Magnum on the air filter. Now the engine, again, mentioning it was a 440 Magnum V8 with 375 horsepower and the top speed was about 146 miles per hour. So some people claimed that in the movie it was a Hemi, but it's been more or less confirmed up to this point. It was 5 cars were obtained for the movie, some say 8, and yeah, they're all 440s with the exception of one in particular, which was thought to be a 383 auto. So the other 4 were 440 with a 4-speed manual. And the car itself is just legendary. I mean, the movie has made this car, even without the movie, this car was a collectible, but this is a very special car. And the film and the character of Kowalski have now become a part of movie car chase legend. Okay, so let's talk about accuracy. I really wanted to give this a 10 out of 10 for accuracy, but unfortunately, as I mentioned, there are 1 or 2 minor details that are not accurate to the movie. So you got the flip gas cap, that's inaccurate, and you got the dual bullet-style side mirrors, that's inaccurate as well. This has more in line with the 1997 made-for-TV Vanishing Point, starring Viggo Mortensen. But again, it's not too much of an issue, but it's something you might want to watch out for if you're worried about 100% accuracy. So that's why I'm just going to give it 9 out of 10, because it's very close, it's very accurate to the car itself, but just not to the movie. For value, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. These right now, they don't go for they're not too bad. Like typical Greenlight, usually these movie cars go for around about 70 to 90 pounds if you can track it down in the UK. In the States, I'd imagine they'd be a bit more affordable, a bit more cheaper, but still, it's one of those things where it's not bad, but given the money where people are paying for it, you'd think that the quality would be a little bit better, the value for money would be a little bit better if they're not going to take a bit more care with some of the paint, because there's scuff marks here that I'm not happy about at all. Going into the quality, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 as well, specifically going back to that, where there are some scuff marks and some of the chrome. It's sad because it's the white paint. It's not something that should be that difficult to get right. It's in a beautiful Alpine white, but it's just got some chips here and there where it looks like they've covered it up with whiteout paint, so it's a bit disappointing with quality there. No extras on this car, so no need to worry about that, it's not applicable. Availability, 8 out of 10. It is available, it's not too hard to find, but it's not easy to find at a good price if you're trying to get it as close to 70 as possible, but you might find more the scuffed up dirty version of this car, which I'm not too much into. I'd rather this one. Presentation, 10 out of 10. I've got to give it 10 out of 10 because this car, as I mentioned before, it looks so good in every angle. There's no flaws about it. There's nothing that you're not too happy with this car where you wouldn't want it to display it in any way, like on a turntable, from any angle. It just looks so wonderful, and the white just really stands out. And given its status, it's a must for any movie car collection. So overall, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is something I really wanted to be a 10 out of 10. I just really wanted it to be just perfect. But as I mentioned, it's not 100% accurate to the movie. There are some minor differences. It's unfortunate with the scuff marks, and also you can see the decals. They kind of stick out to see, like they look like stickers, so they don't look naturally ingrained in or carved in or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this is overall, it's a very nice car. It's good for any movie car enthusiast. So if you're really into it, I recommend it. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the review, and happy hunting. See ya.